Hi students, our cluster this semester is mainly about narrative writing. Narrative means telling stories, and in telling stories the writer needs to use figures of speech. Figures of speech are many actually, but today we are going to talk mainly about similes, metaphors and personifications. Why do we use figures of speech? Why does a writer of a story chooses to use figures of speech in writing a story or conveying a meaning? And what do we mean by figures of speech? Figures of speech are not literally true. The words does not indicate the meaning in the dictionary. Figures of speech help the reader to make imaginative connections between things and meanings. Figures of speech express meaning in a fresh way or in an original way that's new to attract the attention of the reader and to evoke emotions. Figures of speech act as a kind of shorthand, meaning instead of writing long sentences or make prolonged monologues or speeches, you can use a figure of speech to make things shorter and convey the meaning still. The first figure of speech we are talking about today is simile. As you see, a simile by definition is a comparison between two unlike things using a word such as like, as, than, or resembles. If you look at the picture here, this is the picture of a young girl, and we can read this sentence. She looks like the full moon in the dark sky. The word like here is an indication that this is a simile. She refers to the girl, looks like the full moon. The girl is the full moon. This is what we call a kind of resembling or talking about resemblance between two things. In this case, the girl and the full moon. Her eyes are as brilliant as glittering diamonds. The words as here also indicate a kind of resemblance, kind of comparison between the eyes and the diamonds. The eyes has nothing to do with the diamonds, so it's a kind of comparing things here or making resemblances between things. Her smile is warmer than the summer sandy beach. The word then here, as you can see, it's preceded by a comparative adjective, and this comparison evokes resemblance or similarities between things. In this case, her smile and the sandy beach. Now, my mother has the prettiest tricks of words and words and words. Her talk comes out as smooth and sleek as the breath of singing birds. In these 4 lines, they are quoted from a poem called Songs from My Mother, and we can see there is a simile here. The simile here, it's not in the first line, it's not in the second line, isn't in the third line. Yes, it's in the third line, as we can see the word as here comes out as smooth and sleek as the breath of singing birds. Great. Now let's look at these lines and let's look for another simile. We had not dreamt these things were so of sorrow and of mirth. Her speech is as 1,000 eyes through which we see the earth. Her speech is as 1,000 eyes through which we see the earth, as here also tells us that there is a simile in this line. So let's look at the answers here. Identify the 2 similes in this excerpt. What meaning is expressed by each of simile, each simile here. metaphor, a metaphor, still have the same picture here, the same as a simile without using words such as like, as. In the sentences we read in the simile slide, we can actually emit like or as, and then we have a metaphor. And instead of saying she is like the full moon, we say she is the full moon in the dark sky. We omitted like, and then we have a metaphor. Her eyes are glittering diamonds, we omitted as, and we have a metaphor. Her smile is the summer sand beach, the same. We don't compare. There is no warmer than here, but we can sense warmer than without mentioning it. That's why we call it a metaphor. A metaphor, there are actually two kinds of metaphors. A direct metaphor, as in this case, his ideas were birds in flight. This is a direct metaphor. We use the verb is here. And the indirect metaphor, his ideas spread their wings and flew freely. And instead of indicating that or saying clearly that his ideas were birds, this is a direct one. Here we said his ideas, instead of saying were birds, we can use his ideas spread their wings and flew. Spread their wings and flew tells us that they are birds, but in an indirect way. That's why we call them indirect metaphors. Now let's look at these sentences and try to identify each metaphor as either direct or indirect. This computer is a dinosaur. Direct or indirect? The computer is a dinosaur. I think this is a direct metaphor. Excellent. My heart flew of happiness when I knew that I got the full mark. My heart flew. What flies? Birds. I didn't say my heart is a bird, but I said my heart flew. Flying is an indication or something that birds do. He roared his answer back to frighten me. Roar his answer. What roars? A lion. He roared his answer. I didn't say he's a lion, but I mentioned one characteristic of a lion, which is roaring. So this is an indirect metaphor, and this is also an indirect metaphor. Today my mind is the wind blowing across rolling hills. My mind is the wind. Here it's a direct one. My mind is the wind. It's a clear direct metaphor. The third type of figure of speech we are talking about is personification. Personification is a special kind of metaphor. It's mainly a metaphor, but in this metaphor human qualities are given to something that is not human, like an animal or an object or an idea. So when you use a metaphor to give something which is not human the qualities of a human, this is what we call personification. It comes from the word person. It has to do with people. I'm busy, said the sea. The sea, does the sea talk? No, the sea doesn't talk. So when I say the sea said, this is a quality of humans. So this is a very clear personification. I personify the sea as a person who is talking. The moon was weeping of sadness. The moon does not weep. Who weep? Persons, people. So this is a personification. And now let's see these three sentences. We want to see or identify them as similes, metaphor, or personifications. The spring touched the earth and the sky with her warm, delicate hands. The spring touched the earth and the sky with her warm, delicate hands. The spring touches the earth. Touches the earth here is simile, metaphor, or personification. It's definitely a personification. Excellent. Because the spring is not human, and we said something that only humans can do. Our friends is as comfortable as a pair of flannel pajamas. As comfortable as, the words as here indicate a simile. Great. The old man's eyes had become two lifeless stones. The eyes are stones. The eyes are stones. This is a metaphor. Great. Now his hands were as cold as ice. Who can tell It's a simile. Excellent. Simile. He was a lion in battle. He was a lion in battle. Simile, metaphor, or personification. Think. Great. It's a metaphor. Excellent. As good as gold. The word as here indicates a. Great. Simile. The moon was a misty shadow. Excellent. Time is a thief. It's a personification. He was slow like a torch. The word like indicates a simile. Great. Death knocked the door. Death knocked the door. That is death a person to knock the door? No. So this is a personification. Excellent. As heavy as an elephant. As simile. The striker was a goal machine. Metaphor. She is pretty like a picture. It's a simile. History will write the final words. History does not write. It's not a person. So this is a personification. I hope by now you understand the differences between similes, metaphor, and personifications, and I wish you all good luck. Thank you.